So, number four, there is clear evidence the child was abused prior to her unaliving. Evidence includes an opening in her body that was more than twice as wide as normal and erosion to the body via scratches. These scratches, despite the nonsense toted by some who wish to defend the abuse, could absolutely not have been caused by gymnastics, dancing, horse riding, anything that's like normal. These were scratches, cuts caused only by something entering the body. The signs of abuse are non-negotiable. They exist and they are there. Additionally, not only was she toted around in costumes that some would deem inappropriate for the pageant scene, she was handed over to people who the only other person, a known person who hired this person said that he asked to take photos of her, leading me to believe that nobody else came forward because indeed they did allow this. One more time, a person was caught sending a metric ton of child pics, but would later plead down to a lesser charge of a smaller amount of these kind of materials. Who admitted knowledge of who killed or unalived JonBenet was sought after and hired to take the lucrative photos. So let me go back. A person who was caught sending a bunch of child photos, admitted to it, was sought after for this. Including some more inappropriate pictures like JonBenet in grown-up stuff, not pageant stuff. He was also at one point left alone with JonBenet while Patsy went to get pizza. I don't know how true this is, but okay. Number five, there are multiple individuals who admitted to the role in the crime or built shrines dedicated to JonBenet. Gary Oliver, a man who frequented the alley near the Ramsey home prior to her unaliving, was found with a poem written called The Ode to JonBenet Ramsey. He claimed that he was part of a group of individuals and she died during an accident, but also admitted that he unalived children. John Mark Carr originally admitted to the knowledge of what occurred and him being present when she died, but was never officially admitted to. He never officially admitted to unaliving her. He was on the run for child abuse himself and was found living in a known hotbed for child moving, where he frequented internet cafes on a regular basis. There have been multiple people who have created shrines of little girls, including creepy artwork. I have physically seen this artwork in person in the Michigan region, so how it ended up there is beyond my guess, but likely it was passed from person to person for continued compliance and blackmail. Glenn Myers also accused of building a shrine dedicated to the unaliving, who went off to his room. Directly across the street from the Ramsey household that night early because he wasn't feeling too well. There was yet another shrine found in possession of what is referred to as the Candyman. Can't even make this up. You know, what's interesting to me about this stuff is that, you know, it seems very dark and it seems very deep. This just seems very disturbing. I'm not saying that I believe everything. I'm not saying that I don't believe anything. The ransom note and the letter to Danto share similar trolls, similar storylines, similar composition, and a similar pattern. Written in the letter form, both repeat themselves often and go on far too long for traditional counterparts. Both write of movie-like scenarios that are unrealistic. Sort of like a sick game involving slaves in the letter to Danto, and a crazed foreign faction with some vendetta against America in the ransom note. Both contain taunts, with the ransom note containing the names of 4 kids Um, in the letter to Danto, writing guilty 4 times with special emphasis on Jill, stating guilty, representing a child for each time it's written. They were both written in traditional letterhead with people other than the police as the recipients. They sign off Victory SPT, forget to see, it was added later. We know this because nobody only abbreviates 3 letters out of 4. I scanned hundreds of documents looking for this and it never occurs. Someone added it after the fact because it was too dead on. I don't know about that, but sure. Number 7, others have come forward speaking about the abuse relating to John Ramsey. Friends such as Fleet White, Nancy Krebs spoke about the abuse, and her story mirrors a similar story perpetuated by Kathy O'Brien, who spoke about her experiences on Beaver Island, of which John Ramsey frequented, and on at least one occasion took a ferry with his daughter to there. According to her, an operation was set up on the island that centered around exploitation of young women. It's very close to the Tri-Island area near North Fox Island, with it being Beaver Island, South and North Fox Island. John Ramsey was also said to have been on a ferry with Kathy O'Brien's father, but the veracity of her comment on this has never been proven. She claimed many things that line up with how this network operated. In a smaller note, number 8, in a smaller note, brain matter from the Casey Anthony case. Werner Spitz not only injected himself into the JonBenet Ramsey case, he actually was tied to the investigation as well, being the person who performed the autopsy on Timothy King. Blah, blah, blah. Number 9, which leads to the fact that only 2 children are known about in the annals of true crime to have been fed their favorite food prior to being unalive. JonBenet Ramsey and Timothy King. Timothy King was fed fried chicken with a wishbone put in his pocket prior to being unalive. JonBenet was fed pineapples and milk as some sort of last meal. No serial unaliver has ever done this before. This is a unique detail only found in these 2 cases. Both cases contain artwork of a similar nature. In the Ramsey basement, on a gift bag, is a strange art design that features an abstract, rotatable, cartoonish style not seen often or duplicated by anyone. Okay, number 11. Both cases feature a fall guy of some sort and what appears to be a staged with 3 things, something that seems to be to tie them to the murders but falls short of sufficient linkage, some sort of secondary object that exists as a troll, and finally an impossible to commit staged scene. I am speaking about Chris Bush and Michael Helgoth. Chris Bush was found with shells but no shotgun. He was found with what appeared to be a bloody rope, only to find it was oily aviation rope. He didn't fly, but investigators began peering into the area aeronautics angle. Okay, and Helgoth apparently muzzled his own self with a pillow and the weapon ended up being beside him. Okay. Number 12, Steven Singler found an entire dark web collective attempting and asking for access to JonBenet Ramsey materials, including a video of which she was unalived. These materials are illegal to own, so I've never personally sought after them, but I was fortunate enough to witness a few videos crafted based on cut up portions of what occurred the night of JonBenet was unalive, so as to not show any illegal activities, but give a general gist of the idea. Of course, I cannot verify this as it was shown to me and not sent to me. That being said, it's real for me, at least. However, what I can present is that many people are seeking after these materials despite being no real overall surface world consensus that JonBenet snuff film exists in the first place. Okay. Many individuals, number 13, many individuals tied to the network other than just Starchild ended up in Boulder immediately preceding the unaliving. Colt 222 was a real thing. A network fan fiction, very real network relating to the murder of JonBenet Ramsey that attracted a following. Many were caught sharing child stuff among each other. To them, this was real, but they all turned on each other and calling each other the real masterminds. Okay. Okay. So essentially, what this is talking about is digging deeper into the fact that John may have been involved in such a network. And in that case, if that was the case, I have to ask a little bit more of how involved Patsy is in this network. I don't think she's involved at all. I don't think she's involved. If this is true, Patsy, I don't think would be involved. I think Patsy would be spooked by this kind of thing. I think she would be scared by this kind of thing. I think she enjoys the lifestyle, but I think she plays dumb. I think she says, you know what? That's John's thing. However you make the money, John. And Patsy seems like the person that says, okay, let's act like we're some sort of, happy family. And act like everything is okay. So everywhere I go, I smile. But I wonder, though, again, how much of a toll that took on her in terms of the ovarian cancer. So, do we know the origins of ovarian cancer? Not necessarily. Some theories and risk factors, family history, hormone levels, androgen levels, age. But in terms of mental health, depression, and other mental health issues are associated with an increased risk of ovarian cancer and may affect how well a patient does with this disease. Study found that depression may be associated with a modestly increased risk of ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer patients who have a mental health diagnosis are 1.8 times more likely to die than those who do not. This is coming from the American Association for Cancer Research. Some of it's coming from the NIH, National Institutes of Health. Congressionally directed medical research. Some research from Science Direct. In terms of depression, that's coming from PubMed Central, Science Direct, NIH. Stress hormones, NIH. Yeah, a couple NIH. Psychological distress, congressionally directed medical research. So I think Patsy may have run into an issue in which she was caught up in a web of something that maybe she signed into that she didn't know what she was getting into. Because like I said, man, Patsy seems naive. Wondering why John and the first wife split, and what happened, like what happened as a result of did they split because his wife knew he was into something, and she was like, hey, yo, you're not about to do this with the rest of my kids. And then maybe if this is true, then, you know, yeah. But I think that's enough. That's enough conspiracy. And that's going to be the video. Until next video. Got a lot to think about, but take it easy.